today's video, we're going to cover the top iterations that you can make once you finally have yourself a winning ad. Everyone always asks me, particularly in sales calls for the agency or even some of our existing clients and some of the other ecom people that I've spoken to, what do you think in your opinion are the highest ROI and highest probability iterations that you can make once you finally have a winning ad that is scaling and that is spending, a couple of thousand a day or multiple thousands a day? And everything that I'm going to cover in this video is purely based off of the facts. This is stuff that we've tested in ad accounts, we've tested for clients and tested for our own brands. And we find it time and time again that kind of in this specific hierarchy of tests, we see the highest ROI. And so we'll go through 6 different types of tests that you can run, or really 5, but the last one's kind of a bonus. And then we'll discuss exactly which ones have the highest ROI, which ones you should allocate your resources towards, and what kind of effect they would have on your ad account. So the first iteration that you can make once you finally have yourself a winning ad is a creator iteration. We've done this in cases before where we had, for example, a weight loss brand we were working with. One thing we noticed in our ads and through some of their customer research data and their reviews is we noticed that our ads depicting a middle-aged white woman in the ad were performing pretty well, but we noticed that statistically a larger proportion of the market that suffered from the same problem, which was things like cellulitis, loose skin, post-baby fat, and like this kind of general weight gain that a lot of women go through, was made up by Latin American and African American women in a larger proportion than we had at least initially anticipated. And so what we done was we took one of our winning ads and we simply just reshot it with a different creator. We chose a slightly bigger African American woman to star in the ad, and that actually turned into the top performing ad for that client for about 4 months straight. So the creator iteration is probably one of the highest ROI bets you can make once you finally have yourself a winning ad. And that's because not only does it allow you to tap into different customer personas, different segments of the market and different avatars, it also allows you to reframe your script. And what I mean by this is generally when we're choosing creators for our brands and for our clients, we typically look at 3 different things. So the first one, is this creator somebody who is relatable to our target audience? So is this somebody that our target audience can see themselves in? For example, if we want to make a product, let's say it's a family game and we want to target that towards suburban moms, the suburban moms need to be able to see themselves in the woman and the family in general that is being depicted in the ad. And so we would consider that a relatable choice of creator. The second one is an aspirational creator. So is this somebody who our audience aspires to be? This is why things like influencer marketing work so well, because when influencers make videos, generally the audience that follows them, their diehard fans, want to be like them as much as possible. And so they'll take their recommendation to buy, eat, drink, whatever, any product or any service that that specific influencer promotes. We're taking that same principle. And this is something that works really well in the fitness niche, because a lot of people have to go through a pretty excessive transformation to achieve their fitness goals and to achieve the body that they want to. And so having somebody who star in the ad who the audience actually sees themselves in terms of the aspirational state of themselves, that's very likely to resonate strongly with the audience. And we've seen that perform very, very well. And some of these tests we do concurrently. So we'll do like same script, or we'll do 3 different types of creator. And then the third type of creator that we use when we're working with different brands is somebody who is credible. So what I mean by that is they have some authority to speak on the matter. So if we're selling a pet product, we might have a creator play the role of a vet or a dog trainer or a dog groomer. If we're, a skincare product, cosmetics, we want to find somebody who can play a dermatologist and look believable as that character. Maybe we can send them a pair of scrubs to wear when they're starring in the ad, for example. And just to make it communicate some level of authority on the subject, because again, you kind of have to think about who your customer is going to listen to based on the niche and the product that you sell. And so in those cases, for example, pet owners and women interested in beauty, they're very highly susceptible to the recommendations of people in authority and credibility, like dermatologists, like dog trainers and vets, etc. So this is again another type of test that you can run where you can actually reframe your winning ad to be, instead of from the POV of your target customer or from the POV of a testimonial, you reframe it communicating the same value propositions in the same script structure, but with somebody who is now the authority in that space and a credible content creator. The next type of iteration that we're going to discuss is visual hooks. This is probably up there with like creators as the most powerful iteration that you can make once you have a winning ad. It's why whenever you go into one of your competitors' ad libraries, you will see the same ad with probably 50 different versions running. And usually the only thing they will have changed is the visual hook. And what I mean by the visual hook is the first opening scene. There is so much that you could do with this. The possibilities really are endless. If you can involve props, if you can involve different items, instead of just being a regular face to camera or a regular B-roll scene, for example, that you think is a little more scroll stopping, you can actually go out of your way to make higher intent scroll stoppers, specifically visual hooks for this purpose. So once you find your winning ads, you can then chop and change 5, 10, 15, 20 different visual hooks at any given time. And you'll notice that the difference in performance is insane. Like especially for the agency where with clients, we produce these visual hook variations up front. So if we're doing one script, we will do 5 different visual hooks on the front of that script. But for the purpose of this, we're just going to focus on the visual hooks. We see drastic drastic difference in not only the distribution of spend, but the performance between all 5, which are essentially the same script, but they just have a different scroll stopper. We're not trying to optimize for hook rate in the ad account, because in my experience, that is largely uncorrelated with the performance of the ad. What we're trying to optimize for is just the ability of the ad to actually stop the scroll while the messaging stays contextual and relevant. We've also seen success where you use completely unrelated clips, but that less so than, for example, things that are niche or product or pain point specific. So if we're advertising an acne product at the front of our ad, we might use several different types of hook variation, things involving, pimple popping, face masks, things that look like acne, but in real life. So like out in the wild. What else could we do? We could do like weird skincare routines, weird home remedies of skincare. So like, someone cracking an egg on their face, someone lathering an excessive amount of face mask on their face, an insane case of some kind of medical treatment that an esthetician would perform in order to get rid of acne. And the more extreme generally you push this, the better it resonates with the audience and the better it is at stopping the scroll and actually getting people to listen to the rest of your message. So if you have winning ads in your ad account right now, I would consistently be testing 5, 10 or 15 different visual hook variations on those ads every single week for as long as they're running, because you'll see drastically different performance. And the whole goal with this is not necessarily just to actually beat our control variation. Obviously that is somewhat what we pay attention to, but we actually just want to have more ads inside the ad account that can carry the burden of the spend. What we don't want to do is just end up in a situation where we're spending 10, 15, 20k a day, but it's all reliant on one specific creative. And as soon as that creative has a dip or has a bad day, the entire business tanks. So by creating more variations, first at the creator level and secondly with additional visual hooks, you're able to kind of diversify your risk. And so if hook A doesn't perform that well on any given Tuesday, then hook B and C might actually pick up the slack. And Facebook is very intelligent at distributing the budget across your ads, so you don't really need to worry about optimizing that too much. You just need to be able to give it as much inputs as possible so that it can decide the necessary output, the necessary spend allocation. The next one is opening lines. So these are like hook variations, you can say, but what we're trying to do is just change the opening line of the video. So the first thing that the person reads or hears when they stop on your ad, again, has such a big influence on how the message is perceived in terms of your sales argument and whether you're able to get views that are contextual to the pain points or the problem that you're trying to solve. Because you don't just want, random hooks again, like you want contextual hooks. So, if somebody's suffering with acne or if somebody's suffering with a specific problem to do with their skin, a really good hook might be something like, want to know the real reason behind why you have acne? And again, that stops the scroll immediately. And straight away, it acts as a filtering mechanism for the audience who needs to see the ad and the audience who doesn't need to see the ad. And so the views that you're going to get are actually going to be a lot more higher quality. Even if your hook rate is low, you can optimize that later. Although really, I don't really pay too much attention to that once we have some ads that are performing, because I've just seen too much variance in terms of some ads with low hook rate that carry so much spend, some ads with super high hook rate that don't necessarily perform at all. So you kind of have to find the balance between that. But again, like creators and like visual hooks, opening lines are a super effective way of changing the framing around your ad and getting it in front of new eyeballs, which again will allow you to continuously scale. So for example, you can just experiment with the actual first caption on the screen. So let's say you're running a soundless hook, meaning the first portion of the video actually doesn't have any audio. It's just like a transformation or like your customer in their desired state. And then it has like a hook on the screen, which is a caption, but nothing actually spoken out loud. You can do endless variations of that. Like it is so easy for an editor to export 20, 30, even 50 of those at any given time. Obviously, you have to balance it between what you're going to do in terms of iteration and testing net new concepts. And you don't want to end up so overly reliant just on iteration of your winning ads, because then you're leaving a lot of money on the table without tapping into any secondary angles, secondary pain points, and audiences that you could potentially be advertising to by just focusing on this one specific type of ad that's working very well for you. The next one is very simple iteration to make. Again, we haven't seen this perform at the crazy level of the first three that I discussed, but it does sometimes have a very, very positive effect in the ad account. And that is just running the ad without a hook itself. We just take the first 3 seconds or the portion of the hook and even the visual hook off the front of the ad and just export the video again and upload it into Ads Manager. And then majority of the time that will kind of start from like the problem scene or the identification scene within the script, which is just going straight into the pain point, the problem agitation story and everything like that. And we found that again, that has a higher rate of being able to resonate with the right type of customer if you do it properly, because usually the only type of customer that's going to stop on somebody talking about a very specific problem to them based on a pain point that they're suffering with is going to be somebody who also shares that pain point with them someone is looking for a solution. The fifth type of iteration we're going to run into is a caption variation. So this is again where you do something is super simple. It's not crazy ROI. It's not going to transform your win rate of your new iterations in your ad account by any, crazy stretch of imagination. But again, it's something that you can do to give your ad a fresh look, to get it into the algorithm in front of a new demographic. So what you would do is you simply change the style of the captions. So if your captions are very native, for example, using the regular TikTok fonts, then you would just use maybe a branded font. Or you would use one of the other several types of fonts that, TikTok have been pushing recently, not just like your basic TikTok font, but the other stuff that's a little bit more colorful. You might also want to have a different style of caption where you have a highlight placed over every word. And as the script is being read out or the voiceover is going on, the highlight tracks with the pace of that script. And so every single word that is being read out has an additional emphasis placed on it. Again, a super high ROI iteration that you can make that will have some effect on expanding the life cycle of your winning ads and allowing you to diversify your risk inside your ad account instead of just relying on one single ad. The sixth one is one that I actually wasn't going to include in the video, but I think it is very powerful for brands that have a diverse range of products and a broad product catalog. Because what you can do with your winning ads is, let's say you have a winning ad for product A and you want to move some more units of product B. Now, although this logic doesn't always follow, in the sense that just because you have a product in your catalog doesn't mean it's going to resonate with the audience and actually acquire net new profitable customers for you the same way as your winning hero product might. However, if you take the same principles, the same script structure, the same video style, provided that it's applicable for your winning product, and then you take it onto one of your other products to see if you can move some units of that and get that to be profitable on front end acquisition, because again, maybe that product taps into a completely different pain point or a completely different segment of the audience. And then all of a sudden you've unlocked a new level of scale inside your ad account, focusing on not just one product, but 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 potentially, like we have for some clients. Like one of our clients, we pick a different batch of 3 products every single month to produce content around, and their catalog used to be crazy, and only recently they've cut it down to 30, but they have products in all different elements of health, fitness and beauty. And so that allows us to attract so many different types of avatar. And this is an iteration that's worked really well for them, where we've taken the winning script style for product A and we've just applied it to product B. We've made basically the same style of ad with different messaging and different benefits, pain points, desired outcomes, etc. But the editing style, the pacing and everything else is the same. And we've been able to get multiple products to then perform on the front end to acquire customers profitably. If there were just 3 iterations that you were going to take away from this video though, the 3 that I would want you to focus on would be creators. So swapping, chopping and changing the creators, changing the framing of the script. So somebody who's relatable, somebody who's aspirational and somebody who's credible. Changing the visual hooks as well, because that is one of the highest ROI iterations that we've found. And then lastly, changing the opening lines. If you just did these 3 things, you would squeeze an insane amount of additional revenue out of your winning ads, expand their life cycles and keep them running for longer by just giving them a fresh look or changing things up within these tiny tweaks every so often. One more thing before I end the video though, there is one other style of iteration that we make which has a very, very positive impact on a lot of our client accounts, and that is taking a video concept or taking a video hook and turning it into an image, or turning it into a GIF, turning it into a carousel. Carousels we don't do too much, but from video to image and from image to video and GIF to video, GIF to image, etc., etc. We're able to find winning hooks or winning headlines from our static ads. We turn them into video hooks, we turn them into headlines for our static ads, and it kind of feeds each other, and you create this very productive flywheel of winning ads that are feeding each other, except in different formats. And then you can chop and change the messaging, and you can tap into different audiences again based on how people consume content on social media, because not everybody just is a video junkie. People look at images, people read images. Images are also a lot more effective at communicating everything that you want to say up front within half a second. Whereas with a video, somebody would have to watch 15, 20, 35, 45 minutes of your ad in order to understand what it is that you're selling, what problem you're solving, and be sold. Versus with an image, it's kind of like, this is the product, this is the pain point that it solves. It's very outcome driven, it's very pain point driven, and they can decide on the spot if that's something that resonates with them. And again, it acts as a very good filtering mechanism. So turning your winning video hooks or turning your winning static headlines into videos or into images, etc., is a very, very good way to, again, diversify your ad account, keep your creative mix productive, and continuously scale spend without being so so overly reliant on just one or two individual assets, which I see a lot of brands doing, particularly in the case of brands that are spending a lot of money. You will see, for example, a lot of the ad accounts that I go into, there's 5, maximum 10 ads that are carrying 80 to 90% of the spend. And obviously that's like the 80-20 principle in effect, but that doesn't necessarily mean that, okay, we just sit on those ads and we just chill. We want to continuously be making new variations to beat the control, to add more ads into the mix that can take a lion's share of the spend, compete with each other so that we can continuously be driving down our cost of acquisition and keeping our front end basically profitable. So that rounds it up for this video. If there's anything else that you've done in your ad account that you think I haven't covered in this video, please do let me know, drop a comment below. If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel. I'll be posting these videos once a week at least, and I'll see you in the next one.